I want at this time to yield to Mr. Deal for an opening statement.
Mr. Chairman, I would ask if you would recognize Mr. Boyer, who has a speaking engagement. Would you recognize him first?
Mr. Boyer, recognize you now for 2 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Today is a pivotal moment, I believe, for the public health of our country. And, Mr. Chairman, I want to compliment you on the sincerity and your perseverance with regard to working on this issue. Although we work without the benefit of hearings, we have new members of the committee here, about 9 of them that have not touched this issue before from this type of perspective. We also, I think it would have been helpful to have the respective opinions of other experts in the field. But I do want to express my appreciation to the chairman we've had good discussions, and I also, my sincere effort is somehow to take your position of abstinence and marry it with a pragmatic approach, and we're going to have these discussions today. I recognize, Mr. Chairman, that you seek to actually eliminate morbidity and mortality with regard to the use of tobacco products, but I believe to be pragmatic and realistic is that people are going to continue to use tobacco products. So how do we create the continuum of risk and make sure that people have the opportunity to make informed choices along that continuum of risk? So I believe the critical issue to be considered is how do we measurably and effectively reduce disease and death associated with tobacco use while products remain legal for over 40 million Americans and who have not, cannot, or perhaps will not quit. I believe keeping the American tobacco consumer and the public uninformed about the differences in the risk between smoking cigarettes and using non-burning forms of tobacco and other nicotine products is not in the best interest of our country. Telling current cigarette smokers to, quote, just say no, to quit now is not the most effective way to save thousands of lives. Creating a regulatory scheme that discourages or in fact chills the development of new lower risk products is directly opposite of what many in the scientific and public health communities advocate. But those are the underlying tenets of the mark presented by the chairman today. But what do the experts say about the legislation? I shared with the chairman and asked him to take a look at the Royal College of Physicians. They said that, quote, the current situation is perverse, unjust, and acts against the rights and best interests of smokers and the public health. Harm reduction has the potential to play a major part in preventing death and disability in millions of people who currently smoke and who either cannot or will not otherwise quit smoking. These smokers have the right to be able to obtain and choose from a full range of safer nicotine products. And that, in fact, is the goal of this continuum of risk and the discussion I'd like to have with the chairman, and I have amendments that will address that in this markup.
Thank you, Mr. Boyer. Your time has expired. Recognition